The Hobgoblins of Anbennar were not once a race that had been feared yet. In fact, they were a newcomer as far as monstrous nations are concerned. It's not yet been established by historians whether hobgoblins are their own separate race apart from goblins, or whether they are a sub-race of goblins. Regardless, what we do know is that sometime in the 1400s, the hobgoblins started pouring out of the Jade Mines, the easternmost portion of the Serpent Spine. They were organized into legions like that of Old Castanor, each soldier marching in step to the beat of the drums of war. At this point in time, there were three main legions, or commands, as they would soon to be called. The Wolf Command, the driving force of the soon-to-be Empire, as they supplied the logistics and development of the Empire. The Boar Command, the most grizzled and fierce warriors of the Empire. They became the Empire's sword and shield. And lastly, the Lion Command. This legion dealt with the foreign and internal affairs of the Empire. This would seem paradoxical for an empire so hell-bent on war, but in actuality it was very practical, as the Empire needed goods and services to see the wars through to the end. And they also needed the cooperation of the monstrous nations underneath them, such as the undergrowth goblins of the Serpent Spine and the brown orcs of the plains of Haless. Collectively, these legions were called the Great Command, or the Command for short. This is their story, their exploits, their collapse, and their rebirth. And so, the date is the 11th day of the 11th month of the year 1444, what historians have been collectively referring to as the Great Divergence. The Command has been on the world stage for not but 40 years, but already they have formed an empire out of the rubble of the Shamakad kingdoms. The drums of war beat once more. This is what Haless, and soon the world of Anbennar, will come to fear. The Great Command. Hello, and welcome everyone to the start of a brand new campaign, as the Command, with me, Hobgob Pete. The Command is that nation that everybody has a special memory about, if they've ever played in Haless. They are legitimately the boogeymen under every Haless nation's bed, especially under the beds of Balrajin and the One Chia. And today, we are going to start this insane journey. So, to start off, the humans feared creatures in the dark, angry spirits in the night, and when they looked to the looming serpent spine, they feared an unending tide of savage monsters, the stuff of exiled dwarves' tales. The hobgoblin tribes, who lived in the foothills, were a pest and a nuisance, but merely that. They feared the wrong thing. That is obvious as Grand Marshal Moguwan surveys the armies assembled before him in Cyrillavan. Off to one side lay the Ninyu Kukan, the High Marshal's elite, on the other, the slave state rabble of the Zanyu Kukuin. Standing before him, straight in salute, the Wolf Marshal, the Lion Marshal, the Boar Marshal, their armies behind them. He holds their eyes for a second, then two, then three, before his gaze moves on, drawn to the massive banners of looted silk, each marshal's subordinate generals, accompanied by a standard-bearer. Beyond that, bodies seem to blur together, but the Grand Marshal knows what he would see, knows that the strict organization that governs every body in this vast plain. The Norsuin, led by the infantry's lieutenant general, consists of 8 regiments per army, 4 banners per regiment, 8 bands per banner, and 3 teams per band, 10 soldiers in a team, all of whom hope to one day rise and command one of those grouping themselves. On the flanks, the Gikunin cavalry, 3 warg-riding tribes, the elites of their command, and given the massive wolves to train and ride. Some say the warg lieutenants and crested riders who serve as subordinates here are nigh bestial themselves, but such voices are few and far between. Their charges tend not to leave survivors. This is the Hobgoblin army. This is the Great Command. And this is what Haless Halan will soon learn to fear. Beat the drums of war. Okay, and we gain some army professionalism, and because we are playing as the command. Every single time I've fought them, they have become a mythical conqueror. Therefore, I think it is only fair that we turn on mythical conquerors as the command. And if we get curb stomped by Dengeraj, it happens. Most likely he will get it. Mythical conquerors can only be given to these 8 nations, and seeing as how we are one of them, it will most likely be given to one of these 7 nations. So Buvari, Dengeraj, Dengun is somewhere around here. I think they're over here. And Jianglusi. So, 4 nations we could potentially have to fight with a mythical conqueror. Given that this guy is 84, his ruler's probably going to die, and he's probably going to get it. Excellent. We might as well make them our rivals as well. Okay, so to start off, the command has a lot of special mechanics associated with it. One of the first things you should take heed of is that your estates do not work like normal. Insofar as, one, you can't summon the diet, so you can't just keep giving them influence and loyalty, bar none. The other thing to note is that your legitimacy is actually tied to these estates, essentially. So if your legitimacy is low, you're going to lose loyalty. And it's difficult because in order to declare war, you need to have them all loyal. Their loyalty needs to be over 50 to declare war. That's quite... so I would highly not recommend. Be very careful with how you seize land. And so, when your ruler... Let's talk about the unique government form. You're given the Hobgoblin Stratocracy. You can't do royal marriage, although you wouldn't be able to because there's no other god-lost countries in the world. But primarily what this does is when your ruler dies, a general becomes your next ruler. And so for this, I would highly recommend getting your army tradition up as fast as you can, getting rid of these crap generals at the beginning, and getting some good ones actually rolled. And speaking of legitimacy, the Lion Command, that's these guys, actually like when you roll generals. The Boar Command likes when you increase manpower and building barracks, which is actually quite easy to do. And the Wolf Command loves when you do taxes and courthouses. Next up, I think we should talk a little bit about what it is the Hobgoblins actually specialize in. War. There, I said it. No need to beat around the bush. Specifically, they get national unrest and monthly war exhaustion in their administration, but they get -1 diplomat, which really hurts in the beginning of the game. They also get institution embracement cost, which is also quite painful early on when your finances are tight. However, what they do have is arguably one of the best militaries, bar none. And so they get national manpower modifier plus 20%. That's pretty decent. Mercenary maintenance, that's pretty annoying, but it's doable. Discipline plus 5%. Very few nations just get a flat discipline bonus. This is one of them. Reinforced speed, that's kind of annoying, but not the worst thing in the world. Mercenary manpower, minus 75%. You definitely won't be relying on mercenaries as the Hobgoblins. Shock damage received, that's actually really nice to have. Yearly army professionalism, just right off the bat, plus 5%. That's permanent. You don't even have to do anything to earn that. In addition, you also get Army Drill Gain modifier and Regiment Drill Loss. So primarily what you want to be doing if you're not in a war is getting your armies drilled. And this will tie in quite well with you building up a very high army tradition. Now, we also start off as monstrous, which is quite problematic because, I don't know if you've noticed, every single other nation bordering us is not monstrous, with the exception of the Oni, the Azjakuma, who we are going to seek out an alliance with as I start to improve my relations. Now, some more special mechanics. Your religion. It works kind of like the Hindu one. I would recommend going for your legitimacy as your second pick once your first ruler dies. And for your first ruler, pretty much any of these work well. Probably, I think we'll pick it when we choose our first war. So to start your first war, you want to activate the war room, which requires you to get advisors. Should have gone for the trade guy. And these advisors you can get a variety of ways. However, we're going to get our quartermaster from the Wolf Command. There we go. And now we can activate it. But first I'd like to set up just the basic ones I think you should have. I think you should always give the Wolf Overseers. You should always give the Boar Commanders and the Lion Advisors. This gets these guys up to about 50%. So just on their own, they can be fine. Now, should you ever need to get an extra boost of loyalty, perhaps because one's at like 30 or so, maybe they've been infighting, you can always pick up this exaltations from leadership, this good general. Each command has their own special commissions, which gives an extra loyalty bump, plus an equilibrium, but at the cost of some much-needed legitimacy. And finally, each estate has their own special management. Wolf Command makes development very easy. The Boar Command makes manpower go up, much like the old nobility bonus. And the Lion Command makes national unrest go down, which is quite helpful in its own right. They also each have their own officers. The Lion Command has these guys, which primarily gives general cost. Boar Command has these guys, which gives infantry shock, which is huge in the early game. Wolf Command has cavalry shock, which is massive in the early game. You may notice that it says while this faction is in power, which just means when your ruler it has the last name born of the wolf, born of the lion, boarborn, etc., etc., this bonus gets doubled. So right now we would get 0.6 cavalry shock, which is insane. Okay. Right. Let's summon the war room, just so we see. The Great Command is a federation of the three clans, Boar, Wolf, and Lion. Across our nation, there are hundreds of fortifications, a dozen major hobgoblin cities, 3 great war camps. But there is only one war room. Here, the marshals, who rule each command, debate strategy and tactics. Here, the Grand Marshal sends the orders, initiating the next campaign. And here, we remake the future of Haless. Okay, now we shall see this. So, each time you accept one of these, they're essentially missions for your estates. And they unlock another part of your mission tree. There's plenty of dead space here, as you can see. And so completing these basically is required to finish your mission tree. And they're also your primary way of directing your war, your claims. The retinues have set up camp. The elite troops have been inspected by the marshals, and the formalities have been wrapped up. It is now time for what everybody really came for, the Settlement of Swords. In the Settlement of Swords, or Kanu Ike, it is decided whether a campaign will be initiated, provinces strengthened, or officers and administrators sacked. These meetings are one of the, if not, most important meetings of the War Room in the Great Command, and have the power to change the course of both our state and military. It is also mired in ritualism. First, all marshals and their retinues plunge their weapons into the ground, forming a small settlement out of swords to show that they will not fight against each other. After this, all marshals remove their armor and let the workers of other lower commands repair, clean, and improve their kit, to show that they trust each other with one of their most valuable possessions. After these rituals, do the marshals meet in the Grand Marshal's tent. The marshals of the different commands have gathered, and all have made their proposal known. It is now up to the Grand Marshal to select which proposal to enact. And so here, we actually start to talk about the strategic situation of the command. Now, at the beginning, you, ironically, even though you're the number 2 great power in the world, you don't have a very sound economic position. You also do not have very much manpower, if any. 15,000 is nothing for an army that already has 46,000 troops. Now you can slacken some recruiting standards, and indeed that's the reason you have quite a bit of army professionalism. But that belays that you still need money. And so I would say there are two main strategies that kind of appeal to the command. And they're both centered around trying to get more money, right? I would recommend you either push for the Gulf of Rehen, aka Bavari, as fast as you can, or I would recommend you conquer your eastern flank as fast as you can. And this is for two reasons. One, the Gulf of Rehen is easily the most, can be the most powerful trade node in the game, rivaling that of the Dame's Head. Because basically everything in Haless, barring one singular thing, flows into the Gulf of Rehen. The downside is that you will have a massive coalition formed against these folk. And that's something you need to keep in mind with when you play as the command. So the mechanics of how aggressive expansion work are pretty much as follows. It's a number that's generated. It's usually 1-for-1 for each development you take. However, you get extra aggressive expansion for fighting against cultures of that province's same culture group. So for example, if I took this Teal province, I would gain extra aggressive expansion with these Teal nations. Furthermore, you gain even more aggressive expansion, a modifier on top of that. I think it's an extra 50% aggressive expansion for nations of that province's religion. So keeping this in mind, if you push down to Bavari, you're going to go through at least quite a few 3 culture groups. And that's going to get this entire half of the world in a coalition against you. Now, the reason why I say go to your east first is because you really only have to deal with one main culture group over here. And they are a smattering of religions, actually. It's not even one main... It's not the high philosophy. So you'll be dealing with the righteous path and left-hand path. And so for that reason, you can very easily secure this area, which gets you 3 or 4 main trade nodes to be able to work with and be able to expand with. And so this is essentially what this starting path sends you on. We can either go into the Nadimraj over here, take these kingdoms, or we can go into the One Shia over here. And that's, this is the Zidao, and this is the Shamakat. So, I think, personally, I think the eastern route is the more safer of the campaigns you have to you, whereas the Rehen play is the more risky but more rewarding play. And so, for that reason, and for reasons I'll explain later, we're going to go for the Zidao campaign. Mostly because I want to stunt the growth of Jianglusi before anything else happens. Okay, and so that is unlocked, the first. We need to go to war with somebody. We also need to prepare the troops and get some manpower. So I'm going to let a couple days pass here while we talk about even more things. I know, it never ends, does it? There's plenty of mechanics that go with... Here we go. More things to talk about. Before the Green Tide, before Casnor, before Aldwarov, there were the Jade Dwarves. The mightiest among them bore a jewel of jade, intricately crafted and immaculately polished, the fruit of centuries of labor. When the assembly convened for the first time, this gem was handed over to be added to the Dwarven crown, signifying that the High King's writ extended all the way to Rahan and Yanshen. When Aldwarov fell, the Jade Dwarves built an empire on the backs of our people, and it was only after much struggle that we brought them down. The Jade of Gronstunad, along with Gronstunad itself, is now in our hands. It symbolizes a dark period in the history of our people, for it harkens back to when we were once lorded over by those decadent dwarves, who thought themselves our betters and saw fit to treat us as disposable slaves. Let it serve as a reminder. Aldwarov collapsed once, and should it be necessary, we shall destroy it again, for we have forged a mighty empire for ourselves on the surface, and the future belongs to us. Right. That brings us perfectly into a conversation... Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. We'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that. The horned ogres of Azjakuma, known better by the term Oni, have come to visit us with an interesting proposition, formalizing the long-standing Korashi trade that is vital to keeping our mages under control. Now that we are the dominant force in northern Rahan, they fear, and not incorrectly, of our eventual invasion. The Oni will increase shipments of Korashi to Serral Havan in exchange for a truce, assuring them that we will not invade the Demon Hills they call home. It is up to the Grand Marshal Moguwan if this deal with the Devils is in the combined command's best interest. And yes, it is. I don't want to deal with it. And so, that brings us into our talk about subjects. At game start, you have 4 of them. 4 little derps. You've got the Stolen Gem and the Blackstep, which are your goblin underlings to the north. And you have the ability to be able to erase tension. You may wonder, what's this all about? Well, it turns out these little derps hate each other. And at some point, your people are going to want to move out of the mountains into the fertile hills below. Now, that means one of them is going to have to take control over the other. And that is causing some rivalry. A sea of unease rolls through the cave systems, within the cave systems of Stolen Gem and Blackstep. This unease threatens to boil over into full-blown conflict if it is not handled properly. Thankfully, the 2 clans have come together to discuss land settlements. There is an opportunity to mediate these meetings and ensure some semblance of order to be restored via our guiding hand. But the option to let them handle their own problems internally is available, if we trust them to come to a positive conclusion. Our forces stand readily available to assist in this matter. And so, I will tell you straight up, you need to get down to... Where is it? You need to get the tension less than 1. You start at 50 at game start. For that reason, I'm going to go with the -2 right off the bat. Even if it puts our command in an awkward position, having less than ideal ground land. Now, because they are a slave state, they give yearly tax. Once they become the Jade March, which is the single unified nation, they will give even more tax and reinforcement costs, which is actually quite nice. We could knowledge share with them, but we're not going to. That brings us into our other two subjects, the Bloodsong and the Thunderfist. Orc states, as they are. Old Dukin brown orcs. They're actually quite rare as far as orcs go. But the Bloodsong, these guys, give us shock damage and shock damage received every time we move them. The Thunderfist, they suck. They give rubble suppression, efficiency, and harsh treatment. Who cares? Those are terrible things. Nobody cares about them. But that brings us into a very important role. You may notice we aren't the greatest at generating points, even though we have a ton of money. This is a bit of a problem. So what the developers came up with is a unique system where you resettle these clans. You exchange diplomatic power for administrative power. And so what this does is, essentially, instead of releasing a vassal to be able to not have to pay the admin cost and instead pay the diplo cost, you can instead just resettle these guys into this area. And they will core it for you, and then you'll be able to resettle them again, which gives you the cores back. Okay, that was quite a bit of explanation on how this nation works. It is very unique as far as nations in Anbennar go. Okay. So starting move here. Oh no, foreign spy detection. Get rid of demonstrization. You are never going to pick that. Never. It is a terrible idea. You might want to pick state firearm regiments. That might be useful. And don't worry about tolerance or racial control at the moment. It is worth noting, you do start out with coexistence with humans. Keep that. It's very helpful. Okay, so, at the start of the game, you have 20 combat width, and you will be able to get Pike Square. Actually quite fast. So, I'd recommend splitting your armies up into, let's just say 14 and 6. Also give them a general, and put them in decent terrain, so they might be able to... 14 and 6, I said. Okay. Keep those guys as reinforcements for the time being. Start drilling them while you figure out how you want to go to war with the one Shia. And if I think you don't actually have a truce with them to start. Correct, right. Right, that brings us into the talk of the first deity. Let's actually move these guys somewhere even better. Yes. You'll note that supply limit is going to be a huge problem early on in the game. Okay. One other thing I think we're going to get, we're going to build these guys up to 14. We actually don't have the money. Nice. And we are going to get that... Where were they? Yep, this one that we had talked about earlier. An extra 0.6 cavalry shock will be huge in the... Didn't it say it was going to build the... Oh, start the construction in R. Yeah, okay, it's building it. Gotcha. Just does it very slowly. We might as well get these guys started with their own. Ugh, that ruler's terrible. We'll have to delete him before we think our ruler will die. Right, so let's get these guys up to 60. Yes, that is something I want. Extra army tradition from battles is huge, as well as army tradition just... I misplayed that. I should have... Yeah, I should have picked that up before I did the mission. Oh well. What are you going to do, right? We'll also pick up this. An extra general would be quite helpful. We can drop whichever one sucks the most. Oh! That is a juicy general. Look at him. 4532. I have a feeling he's going to be our next ruler. He's only age 37. Okay. anything else I would like to gift to these commands for the time being? And I think not. I think I am satisfied with that. What I will do, though, is pick up this with the Guranin, or the Conquered Ones. Humans who have fallen before the Great Command in battle, and now serve their betters. Those who display exceptional loyalty and adherence to our ideals may one day hope to be called Wayun, or honorable, non-hobgoblins. And from them, they give mostly tax-related stuff. So I think keeping them right up... I'd love to get them above 50 so we can revoke. But I'm not going to worry about that just at the very moment. You will note, at the beginning, you have literally... These are your accepted cultures. Everything else hates you. You've got mostly humans. I would suggest, once you get the ability to accept more cultures, pick Shamahadan as your first accepted culture. And that's just because this is a ton of farmlands, good goods to be able to develop if that's the way you want to choose it. You probably won't be developing as the command, but enough said. Okay, let's boost up to speed 4, and then I'm going to pick a thing. So, with this first war, they want me to get they want me to declare war, duh. They want me to control 20 provinces. That's going to be difficult. And they also want me to just control Zidao. Straight out. They also want me to take it. And they want me to take... Okay. Thing you should note here. When it says control, what it means is you just have to control it in a war. When it says owned, you have to take it in a war. So we need to take an extra 7 provinces here to fulfill this mission. And I believe it would be good to take these 3 right here, and these 3. Why? This is with East Haramari. That's going to take us relatively little, lesser aggressive expansion than if we were to go for something like this, the Sitsu. And so these 3 provinces right here in the state of Tuitian and Shanshaolin. My condolences if you try to pronounce these on your own, by the way. Not the easiest for English tongues. I will also think I'm going to go with the discipline will help us keep our manpower stable. Manpower recovery speed is great, but I think aggressive expansion impact and province war score cost. Because as you'll see, these guys are actually quite strong at the beginning of the game. And I don't want to have too much trouble beating them off. Okay, and I think we will get started on this war once all of our cavalry start calving. No, once all of our cavalry start... we're going to go ahead and pick up that, by the way. Just some extra money at the beginning would be quite helpful. And this is actually quite helpful. Deep in the Hobgoblin ancestral memory are the days when we were forced to the Serpent Spine's fringes, when we starved and died in the dark. Yes, because as you see, the Serpent Spine is not well known for its food production. It mostly has serpent bloom, an ensemble of subterranean bioluminescent plants used in underground agriculture, thriving in the special ecosystem that is the Serpent Spine. They've been used in all sorts of farms and plantations throughout millennia by the Serpent Spine inhabitants, and form the basis of the food chain. Basically, serpent grain, as I like to call it. But other than that, I actually don't know what livestock is grown in the caves. And I don't want to know. When we took the jade mines from the dwarves, that changed. The bioluminescent fungus known as serpent bloom, abundant in cavern and road, provides all the nutrition a growing hobgoblin boy could require. Tended to and prepared by slaves, it serves as our soldiers' primary means of supply. But as our military grows, so too must the Serpent Bloom farms. The slaves will work, the crops will grow, and so the armies will march. And with that, we get some extra manpower recovery speed, some local goods, just some good things, really. Okay, next up, we're going to want to get the Wolf Command happy. And they're already trending that way, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. No! What? He's already dead? Oh, that's a load of crap. Really? The 4532 is a 112? What a joke! What an absolute joke! What a turd! Gross. Disgusting. I hate it. Wow. Okay, we're playing on hard mode today, everybody. Alright, I guess... Yeah, I guess we're playing on hard mode. Let's start the war. We're gonna start, because we need to get that legitimacy up, like, now. We're gonna have some problems really quick if we don't manage a way to win this. We gotta start this war today. Get some legitimacy. For that reason, I'm going to sack some recruiting standards so we can get this. The scouts return to us with a clear picture of the terrain, rolling hills and verdant plains, perfect for marching through, with even seasons and familiar edible crops grown by the local populaces, easily raided and used to feed our men. The land at once appears simple and perhaps even serene, but it would be mistaken to assume the people are similarly so. Dedicated training halls for warriors of varying backgrounds. And strategies populate the towns and cities, and every village is guarded by some militarized force. Knowledge on these fighting techniques is fragmented, and sourced mostly from northern infiltrations, but there is no doubt that there could be an endless amount of these strategies capable of catching our troops off guard from villagers uncountable. With present knowledge, we estimate that these geostates can field around 2 to 3 kikun, a force as numerous as our own, a challenge for sure, and a worthy one for our new commander. Yeah! Literally just died. To that end, we're gonna pick the legitimacy one. We gotta make sure we do not lose legitimacy. Right. So let's get this campaign started, and we will start it for... Zwoshu. You're gonna have to forgive me for all these pronunciations. This is not my first... my understanding of this kind of language is not well defined. Alright, one other thing I'm gonna do while I've got the time. I'm gonna build some forts. This is gonna suck if everything we own gets burned down to the ground. For that note, I'm going to put one behind the river here, and another on the river. And we will also put one, here in Fabar. Could also put one here in Kradhumgur, which I think I will, because that is of our culture. Okay. Those forts are going to help, because I do not want all of my land getting burned down. Now, one of the easy things about fighting these guys is that they tend to go in little derpy stacks, which helps us out quite a bit. And we're going to be primarily working with 2 armies today. Let's wait for the month tick, yes. They're going to be absolute goons, attack into us. We're just going to be, oh god. That couldn't have happened at actually a better time. as now my separatists are going to fight the war for me. We're going to go ahead and take care of these 3k. Okay, good. Small problem in that we already are about to get... Yes, we can escape. Thank goodness. Ha 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 ha! Suck that, nerds. Alright. So the land of the Jia is split among dozens of states, all vying for power under the yoke of a ruler, with only nominal control over its internal tribes. Still, it appears that this nominal control is enough to bind its subjects to protect the ruler upon a war's declaration. Every last one of them, all pledged to defend the ruler of the Jia, and in turn, the land itself, to the last man. This report puts forward a request to cease preparations and begin the campaign immediately. Based on present information, their forces can converge and unify within a matter of days. If we are to ensure a quick and decisive victory, we must act before the commander of the Jia can muster its splintered manpower into a united force, capable of rivaling ours. Okay. Now we've got some decent legitimacy. We don't have a ton, but we did make the Boar Command happy, which gives prestige from battles and some infantry combat ability. So we're going to go put that to good use. Kill a little 3-stack here. They're going to attack into the forest. Not the greatest idea for them. But all the same, we're going to pull back for just a little bit. We dealt massive damage to them. Easily 3 times our own, and we even got army tradition. Now that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And now our armies are fully assembled. We're ready to get started on this war. We're going to move these guys out so they don't do super, and we're not going to worry too much about that insurrection right there. That will take care of itself momentarily. I'm still very salty that we lost our good commander. That's going to annoy me all game. Okay, we're going to go in with a very decent... Yes, we will take advantage of that. And we've got reinforced speed, which is the guy I want. We could also go for morale, which, unironically, I think would be better at this moment in time. Okay, we stack wipe some more. Let's go after those guys. Good, my subjects are cleaning up their own. Excellent, that is actually what I like to see. Let's see if we can get that 3k. This is exactly how you want to play this. You want to be very careful. Just slight movements. No need to risk anything. And we're going to pin them down while we take Zhang Luci's army there. And we get yet another 10k of stack wipes. And as you can see, we don't necessarily need to actually win battles so much as we just need to do correct targeting. Okay, so now I've got too many troops stacking up in one location. I don't necessarily want to fight a massive field battle right now. I don't think it would be advantageous. So I'm going to split up these guys like so, while these guys continue to regain morale. And now that's looking like favorable odds. So now we'll collapse on top of them and utterly obliterate them. Okay, so we could go fight these guys in the grasslands, but I think it would be more better to make sure they don't... words, Pete, words. Make sure they don't cause super destruction in our land. Furthermore, I'm going to check, yeah, everybody is... we're just going to set them to aggressive. I don't want that. Get rid. Go away. Shoot. Okay. Unironically, we've been able to bait them into attacking us. We've absolutely decimated their numbers. Look at this. They've lost 95,000 to our barely anything. And this won't even give us a coalition. Plus we can take money. No, we don't want money. That sucks. We can only get 65 ducats. I feel bad. Okay, and hopefully we can get a stack wipe here. Yes, good. Another stack wipe. That pleases the Great Marshal. Terrible as he is. Okay, and they want me to at least get over there. You want at least 40 regiments and have units in a battle. Or at least 10 regiments present? I'm not sure. But it'll give good amounts of aggressive expansion. No, not shock damage received. That's what we want. Okay, and now I think it's a decent time to attack into that that army, just sitting in the grasslands there. I don't think we'll be able to truly destroy them, but gained a decent amount of army tradition for similar-ish losses. And now I think it's time to push. Okay, who do we need to get happy? We need to get the Wolf Command happy. Okay, you want me to fire my very expensive morale guy? Yeah, I will at some point, actually. Another war room has happened. Alternatively, you want me to develop a province? No, that's not going to happen. We'll make the Wolf Command happy. And you don't like my legitimacy being so low. Go figure. What else is new, right? So I'm just going to do this now. Because I don't think we need him just this moment. We've gotten him above 60, so now we can do this. The wolf, the great beast after which one of our commands is named, stands for many of our nation's greatest virtues, one of them being the well-trained wargs and secure paths that supply our troops throughout Rehen. It is their job, their honor, their responsibility to keep our command running, in both the literal and implied meaning. A robust network of roads, in the style of the once great Golden Highway, with way stations and patrol houses, will give our messengers the ability to fulfill this task in accordance with expectations. And that gives us some land attrition, some reinforced speed, which is huge, some recover army morale speed, which is also huge. And if we could get some supply depots, which is going to take a while, we got to rebuild up our professionalism. And we're going to do this again. We're going to try and build down that jade tension. And you know what? I think actually I'm going to pick that as well. And that lasts for, you can do that every 5 years, it looks like. We're going to want to get that down. Okay, and we still got manpower with which to fight our wars. We're going to do some real quick breaking up of the rebels here. Good. Barely taking any casualties. Pro tip, always remember to control and consolidate. Control, consolidate. Helps to reduce casualties. Okay, with that solved, we're going to go retake back our land. And it looks like we'll be able to finish here. Alright, that's about as good. That's about as happy of a first war as we can hope to get these days. There's some more min-maxing you can do if you don't want to. We'll get the small tolerance increase of humans. There's more min-maxing you can do if you don't want to lose. Ooh, they're starting to build up their manpower reserves once again. That's kind of scary. Hopefully we can manage to finish up these rebels. Silly rebel scum. Before they come back at us. And it looks like mostly they're recruiting free companies and whatnot. Hopefully they don't manage. Yep, okay, good. We managed to get another capital. They're even going to fight their own battle. Let's see how our... Ooh, I don't think they have the latest tech, but they still managed to do a decent amount of damage. I love my subjects. They're good little guys. Okay. We need 20 provinces in order to do so. We also need to control the capital, Jianglusi. I believe we can even shatter their alliance if we need to. To that end, let's go make sure we can get some extra provinces here. Our relationships with Azjakuma are full, so we can start a fruitful alliance with them anytime we please. And we're going to need to go back to the old faithful ways of kill them while they're dead. Good. We just got the Siege of Seer. We got the Wargle, so now things are going to start ticking up, I believe. Yes, all we need to do is take the province to get the Wargle, or secure it. And we've done another mission. This revolt in Seer marks the first major instance of the conquered rebelling. Our response here is a message to every place and people in Haless. It should be a clear one. The Wolf Marshal, report to the war room 2 days after the uprising in Seer. We are going to boost our stability, and just so we can get 2 stability very early on. That's quite helpful, especially in terms of national unrest and tax modifier, mainly. The other things I couldn't really care less, I could care less about. And since we own this fort, we get defensiveness. I don't really want to fight, although I can think of a way to do this. Okay, what does this mission say again? If I have at least 40 regiments present, I think I'll get this bonus. No. Okay, never mind. I'm a liar. In that case, I think we'll just go straight on, because I want to see how we fare against massive amounts of troops. And we deal massive amounts. In one of our infirmaries, a man who was bedridden for months woke up miraculously healthy, claiming he had a dream of a jade rabbit giving him an elixir. Similar stories of this jade rabbit have been spreading throughout the realm, confirming the rumors that we have been visited by a rabbit spirit. As long as we are under its blessing, ours will be a strong and healthy people indeed. And with that, we even get more manpower recovery speed. Heck yes. Okay. Let's finish up our campaign here, mostly because this is going to be the longest episode I've ever done. Bar none. And we will try to get to Zidao. Alright, and let's make sure we got the guy that has the siege ability, actually on Zidao. And I think our manpower will stay with us just long enough. Here. And we can go ahead and break up a little bit more there. Okay, that'll make 17, so we still need just a little bit more. I reckon I can get some more here. We can even start converting goblin provinces. I don't want to. I think it's a waste of money. I'll explain why later. The short answer is that you have a mission to move out of the jade mines, so it isn't really that helpful. And it looks like, actually, yes, you are under attack twice. Or, no, you're being attacked from the south. Oh, interesting. Good. You're being dissolved. Excellent. Okay. And, oh boy. Okay, we got all the territory we need to be able to declare that mission. We're not trading in Mithril anymore. Sad shame, that. Well, that's fine. They can just sit up there for all I care. Okay, let's just make sure they don't magically have more troops appearing behind us. Any moment now, the capital of Zidao should fall. You want me to fire my guy. That'll get the Lion Command happy. Although I think I'd much rather get the Boar Command happy. Heck, I might even want to... actually, yeah. We'll need to get the Lion back up above 50 if we want to declare war again. Like I said, it's a very easy way to brick your campaign. We'll go for that once more. By not paying attention to your legitimacy. It's very easy. Okay. The issue of the odd mystical mists, as described by some troops, has come to a head. For too long have our troops met their end at an untimely manner, clashing head-to-head with a force neither guns nor steel can banish, so far. We have identified sources of this mist, its properties derived from local legendary sites. Artificers under our employ, whose names and achievements can be seen in the attached parchment, have identified certain solutions for this ethereal menace, which we may be rid ourselves of with decisive action and a hefty sum to compensate those individuals. The Northern Oni have also volunteered themselves to banish this mist, with a degree of malevolent fervor. Not that it concerns us what their reason may be, just that it be done as soon as possible. So we get even more legitimacy. And now we just need to win this war. Seriously. Just need to do it. Okay, there's Zidao in all its glory. We can cancel, we can finish the war right now. This is an inventory report of the spoils received during the Zidao campaign and in subsequent looting. As of the current date, this is an incomplete report. Much has been left unaccounted for, and looters from our less disciplined ranks can find themselves suffering from their impatience. One thing can be said for sure, however, and that is that these monks did not live as modestly as they claimed. Several tons of gold and precious stones have been smelted down and repurposed into bars, to be carted to the capital as soon as enough wargs can be procured for such a task. Anyway, beginning with the ornate combs. And with that, our ruler even gets an extra diplo point. That's actually quite decent. I'll take it. We'll go ahead and get that guy back. As soon as we get out of this war, we will be picking up the National Manpower guy. Okay, so we can get out now, plain as dirt, or we could do this. I don't believe... I think the point of taking Zhang Luci's capital is that it breaks up the subject chain. Makes them really weak. However, doing that would be massively... it would piss off Zhang Luci, and this gives us the option to attack them again without a coalition being possible. So I think for that reason, we're going to just keep it like so. I would love to humiliate them, but we're just not going to get the ability to... and actually, we'll keep the war... You know what, I don't even think we're going to take war reps, because I'd like to come back very soon enough and attack them. So, I think that's 10 provinces, right? I'm not sure what it's counting here. In the region Xianj. Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, okay, that's Xianj. We just need 3, as I said. Always got to make sure you're doing this correctly, just to make sure you don't screw yourself over. We could take an extra 2 provinces here, just in case. And it would just get Zhang Luci against us, but I don't think we need to be honest. Just in case, though, this is 1449. I'll fix the peace deal if it comes out to be broken in the post-episode. And it didn't. Okay, good. Great tidings from the front. The prized city of the Zygon and its respective temple and fort have been brought into our fold. Many will herald this moment as the day the war was won, and all of the Xia were doomed to fall to our hands. The truth, I may posit, comes down to our superior management of supply lines and discipline, but I fear that may be a side of history that will go unremembered. The truth that the war was won the moment we set our eyes on this land ripe for the conquest. So we get your exemplary leadership until the death of our ruler, giving morale of armies, yearly legitimacy, and all states' loyalty equilibrium. Finally, we get out of this craptastic position, where finally we have decent enough legitimacy that they like us again, the commands. Okay, and I think that is an excellent place to take a little break here while I take a rest and try and figure out what next to do for our conquests as the command. Thank you for watching. I've been Hobgoblin Pete. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next episode.